Act 5, Scene 5, Dunsinane Castle. We're going to see again Macbeth kind of echoing some of the sentiments from the last scene, very, very defiant, with a kind of a false bravado, trying to come across even to himself that he's really, really brave and he can take on all the forces that have come to take him down. We're also going to see world weariness and numbness. So there's quite a lot of emotion in this, and there's one of the most interesting monologues in the Shakespearean canon actually coming up as well, which is a really, really interesting and often used monologue. So we'll have a look at that as well. So Macbeth, defiantly at first, saying to Satan and his soldiers, "Hang out our banners on the outward walls. The cry is still, they come. Our castle's strength will laugh a siege to scorn. Here let them lie till famine and the ague eat them up." So this false bravado, hang out the banners of war. We are ready for them, and we are going to let them try and take us under siege, and we will wait it out in a kind of a war of attrition, and they will be broken down by either famine or fever, because there's no way they're going to take my castle and take me. Were they not forced with those who should be ours, we might have met them dare full, beard to beard, and beat them backward home. So he's saying if they weren't all forced with like forced as in like working with my own thanes, those who should be mine, I would just get out there on the battlefield and fix this whole thing. But there's just too many of them, so I have to endure a siege. But you know in your heart that like Macbeth would prefer to be out there on the battlefield, returning to the greatness that he had experienced beforehand when he was fighting the likes of MacDonald and the Norwegian king. And then he says, "What is that noise?" And there is a cry from women within the chamber next door. And Satan says, "It is the cry of women, my good lord." And he exits. And Macbeth says, and now we have this kind of like deflated Macbeth, completely numb and world weary. "I've almost forgot the taste of fears. The time has been my senses would have cooled to hear a night shriek, and fell of hair would at a dismal treatise rouse and stir as life were in it." So I'm numb. I've lost a sort of a sense of empathy, or even when I hear a woman scream in the night, I have no like visceral response to that. I have nothing left. And here he says, and I would highlight this, "I have supped full of horrors. Direness, familiar to my slaughterous thoughts, cannot once start me." So I have supped too much on horror. Like I have done too many terrible things that my empathy has nearly been scratched out. Like I just don't have it anymore. I don't have any like emotion or sympathy for anything anymore. Acknowledging that he is sort of vacant, really. Re-enters Satan. "Wherefore was that cry?" So what was that cry? And Satan says, "The queen, my lord, is dead." So Lady Macbeth is dead. And Macbeth says, in a really desensitized way, "She should have died hereafter. There would have been a time for such a word." So that is massive. That is really, really colossal. He says she should have died hereafter. Then would have been a time for such a word. So it's really inconvenient now that she's dying in the middle of all this, because I have 10,000 English soldiers plus all my thanes working against me outside the castle gates. I haven't got the time to either mourn her or to take it in. Now, it's really important that you don't just dismiss it as to say, like, he doesn't love his wife anymore. It's just that he's so utterly numb and desensitized by everything that he can't even take that in anymore. And you've got to look at that journey that they've both been on, because at the beginning, I mean, when he meets the witches for the first time in Act 1, Scene 3, he sends a letter to his wife immediately to inform her of the great prophecies that they have put on show for him. She's his great partner of greatness, his dearest love. And now she's dead. He doesn't ask how. He doesn't ask why. He just says, this is massively inconvenient for me. So a huge change there in both Macbeths, of course. Lady Macbeth, it's never completely said exactly what's happened, but it's generally agreed upon that she has taken her own life, and as a result of the horrendous remorse and guilt she feels. And Macbeth is desensitized. She should have died hereafter. There would have been time for such a word. And here we have this fascinating monologue where we have kind of like the futility of existence expressed in kind of staggering metaphors, one after another, just describing how useless life is and how pointless it is to try and do anything in life because, you know, you die and it's all over and you didn't mean anything anyway. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day to the last syllable of recorded time. So there's a monotony there as well, like we have to live and live and live at a small pace, and it creeps, you know, day to day to the last syllable of recorded time. So everything is a drag, everything is boring, meatless, joyless, pointless. And all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. So everything we've done just brings us closer to death, and there's no meaning in life. Out, out, brief candle. Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage. So another really, really important metaphor there. The idea of the candle just being, it's brief and then it goes out. It's nothing. And life is but a walking shadow, like, you know, it's just a shadow. It's over before you know it. And the poor player who struts and frets his hour upon the stage, like a bad actor who, you know, over exaggerates his acting and, you know, bothers about scenes and stuff and then is heard of no more. You know, like he doesn't get another acting job after this. That's what life is. You know, we're here, we live, we do our fretting and we do our panicking, and then we just die. And it's all gone to nothing. He's utterly numb. Everything means nothing now. And this is because he has destroyed his own happiness. He was right the first time. If he was to kill Duncan, there would be judgment on it. And this is it. And it is played out in this way. His wife is dead. He barely cares. And life means nothing to him now. So the interesting metaphor there of life, the walking shadow, the poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage and is heard of no more. It is a tale told by an idiot. Life is just a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. So the idea there that, you know, we can live and live and live and talk and buy and just do it all. But at the end of the day, our lives mean nothing, or at least his life has come to mean nothing. He feels like life is nothing. Enters a messenger. Thou comest to use my tongue, thy story quickly. Tell me something. You've come to tell me something, tell it to me now. And the messenger says, Gracious my lord, I should report that which I say I saw, but know not how to. So the messenger says, I have something to tell you, but I don't know how to convey it. Macbeth says, Well, say, sir. And the messenger says, As I did stand my watch upon the hill, I looked toward Burnham, and anon methought the wood began to move. And of course, we know from the last scene, Malcolm told the army that to camouflage themselves by taking down a bough of a tree each. So it would look from the distance, if everybody's carrying a branch, it would look feasibly like the forest was moving. And of course, this is part of the apparition falling apart for Macbeth. Liar and slave. The messenger said, Well, let me endure your wrath, if it be so. Within this 3 mile you may see it coming. I say, a moving grove. Look, fine, call me a liar if you want, and I will endure your punishment. But look out your own window. You're going to see there's a forest moving towards the castle. Macbeth says, If you speak it false, upon the next tree thou wilt hang alive till famine cling thee. So if you're lying to me, I'm going to hang you from a tree until you die of hunger. And if thy speech be sooth, I care not if thou dost for me as much. I pull in resolution and begin to doubt the equivocation of the fiend that lies like truth. Fear not till Burnham wood to come to Dunsinane. And now a wood does come to Dunsinane. So if you speak false, I'm going to hang you. If you speak truth, well, what does it matter to me? Everything is futile. And now I see that the apparition is disintegrating in front of my eyes. And now Macbeth, again, like in the last scene, sort of pathetic, wanting to resort back to a time when he was greatly revered. He's calling again for his armour. Arm, arm, and out! If this which he avouches does appear, there is no flying hence nor tarrying here. So I can't escape this, and I can't tarry here. I can't stay here. And he needs to go into battle. So he wants to arm himself and go into battle again. Again in the weary of the sun, and wish the estate of the world were now undone. Ring the alarm bell, blow wind, come rack. At least we'll die with harness on our back. So again, echoing Othello, as I said in the last scene, this desire to return to a time when he was revered and respected by the state, a time when, he knew what he was doing. Like Macbeth, before he became king, he knew his role. He was a really well-respected soldier in Scotland, adored by everybody, and he wants to return to that moment. He knows how to be a soldier. He doesn't know how to be anything else. And the whole scene is pitiful. It's almost as if the Lady Macbeth reference, it's so short, but it's so important. This is a moment to think here. The demise of this incredibly strong, a dominant woman has come about because she is so racked by guilt, and that is her journey. And now it's over with her lonely suicide off stage, and her husband reacting by just saying she should have died hereafter. There would have been time for such a word. And then he reflects on the futility of life and the numbness of it all, and there's just nothing to live for. And as the forest comes towards him, one more apparition has come apart, and he just says, now all I can do now is be the best I know how to be, which is to return to being a soldier. So it's a very pathetic scene for Macbeth and for the audience, looking at the demise of this man.